Hey, Max.
Hey, Sam.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz. It's been a while since we've gotten a chance to spoke, and it just feels good to start to catch
Gotten a
up.
chance to speak. It's a perfect verb form in that sentence construction.
Well, you're perfectly capable of introducing the show yourself, apparently, so why do you always leave it to me to do then if you have certain grammatical insistencies?
Insistencies? I have baseline expectations that you won't make up words. How's that?
That's reasonable.
Cross me up. Don't snap. Don't breathe. Just leave me up your skin. And baby, begin.
Did you watch the Oscars last night?
No, I didn't watch the Oscars. I was with you last night in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, well, if you let me set up the show the way I want to, you would have said no. You would have answered my question. And then I would have asked why.
Wow, you're really good at this.
Thanks, Sam. You can learn a lot from me, brother.
So, listeners, my name is Sam. I'm on the line with my brother Max. We host a podcast called Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz, that you're listening to now. We talk about Boston sports with some leftist political takes mixed in there. Last night, Max and I got the privilege of hanging out together in Atlanta. I'm on the road again. So, and it was really fun. That was really great to see you, Max. What are your...
Yeah, it's a real treat.
What was the highlight of the night for you?
There's just like this weird thing when like I go into the crowd of one of your shows and these people come up to me and they're like, "Oh, do you love wet?" And I'm like, "Yes, I love wet." And that's true. But it's mostly because like when I say that, I'm talking about the people in wet and not necessarily the music or the songs or like, do I know any of the words? At this point, I know a few of the songs. But like people all around me knew every lyric and were like having like transcendental emotional experiences. And I was just like watching you feed off of the crowd energy and feeling really awesome. And like it's great to see you up on stage. But it's not like I was necessarily, it wasn't like I was, some of these girls were like treating like Kelly like she was Bob Marley, and I was feeling it, but like they were like really, really into it, you know, like they were like putting their hands up in the sky and like screaming at the top of their lungs. And I started to feel like an imposter, and I just like wanted to start telling people that I was your brother. It's like, I'm not like creepy, all right? Like that's my brother. Like I'm not. I started to feel like an infiltrator at a political meeting because like all these people were having this conversation that I was unequipped to participate
No,
in.
all are welcome at a wet concert.
Well, that's good. Yeah. It was also just like a highlight because Kelly seems like she's been really intentional about who she's bringing on tour. Like it was nice to see just like an all-femme lineup like that.
To go along with her all-male band.
Who she berated constantly through the concert, which I agreed with. Yeah, actually, my highlight for the if I may just answer your question one more time, the highlight of the night was when she stopped the show and said, "My guitar is fucked up."
I didn't fuck up. She was wrong.
Wait, really? So what did happen?
What happened was that, well, it was the first show of tour, and so we were, working out the kinks and stuff, and I was tuning the guitar because there's a capo. I don't know if you know what that means. There's a capo which changes.
Yeah, you're like
where I'm playing.
That means like a clip. Everyone who like doesn't want to like get into this technical mumbo jumbo. A capo, and this is not. We're not trying to talk about what Zionists call anti-Zionist Jews here. No. This word means a clip on a guitar that holds the strings down to make it like what's like a lower or higher key.
Yeah, more or less.
Great.
So I
you
changed
had a
the capo, and so which requires you to retune the guitar. So I was tuning the guitar, but then Joe, my bandmate, started the song, and so I wasn't before I was ready. So I wasn't able to come in on time. And Kelly uses my guitar to set the pitch for her vocals on that song. So when the song started and I wasn't playing yet, and the crowd came in, she started screaming really loud, and she just didn't have her pitch. So she did the right thing and had to stop the song over, but she incorrectly thought that I had made a mistake by not coming in, like by missing my cue. But in fact, Joe was supposed to check with me to make sure that I was tuned. These are just the things that you kind of hammer out first show of tour. So for all those of you listening out there deciding whether or not to come hang out on the road, just know that it's gonna we're gonna smooth these things out.
It was really smooth, and I thought because she made that mistake and had to start over, everyone thought she was like more human and thought it was like they were having like a vulnerable experience with the audience, and I think it allowed people to connect with her even more.
I was telling her last night that people love her so much, and so that when they see her make mistakes, it actually inspires them more, because they're like, I make mistakes too, and she's amazing. Like I can be amazing even if I make mistakes, and that it's not a bad thing when something like that happens. And she plays it really well, which is to say that she reacts to her mistake the way that most human beings react to mistakes, by being like, I want to fucking kill myself, I want to die, or something like, something along those lines, which I think then just reinforces people see that and they're like, that's how I feel when I fuck up too, and you're amazing. I don't know. I think it's all part of the experience. Anyway, it was really fun for me to kick off the tour and see you smiling there in the crowd, and we were smiling at each other the whole time. That was really fun.
Yeah.
So I think the last time we spoke in our official capacity as podcast hosts was
post Super Bowl.
We were Super Bowl champions. We still are.
And I am like, I'm really fucked up, brother. Like, I have when I have time to watch YouTube videos, I spend that time watching YouTube videos about the Super Bowl, and it's been how many days? It's been weeks.
You're still reveling in it all.
I'm still reveling in it all, and I actually like can't stop. And like
will you send me some links
to Super Bowl videos? Oh my God,
Yeah.
I have a whole curated playlist.
Oh yeah, hit me up.
Also, I just want to like for full transparency to our listeners, like the way I frame that just now is like when I have time to watch YouTube videos. It's like I have a lot of time to watch YouTube videos, everybody. Like we're talking about like maybe an hour of Patriots. No, that's not true. It's not that bad. But
that's extreme if you're watching an hour of Patriots footage a day, a month into the off season.
After about a game that I was at. Yeah. No, it's insane. I'm sick.
You've earned it. I'd say if you're still watching Patriots videos on the internet from the Super Bowl in April, by April 1st, I'm going to give you one more month basically to indulge and to revel, but then I want you to take a little break.
Well, it's funny because my keeping up with the Patriots so closely, or my like redigesting past successes so thoroughgoingly, I wouldn't say it's like an addiction. It's like but it's a Jones. And there's like YouTube is amazing, but it's really kept the Patriots on like the front of my mind. And so when this Bob Kraft story broke last week, I was right there. You know what I mean? I was like right there. And this story, Sam, it could not be any better. As far as like divine retribution in the sense of like this fall from grace, or this like reassessment of Bob Kraft as it's really gratifying for me that everyone now is sort of seeing Bob Kraft as I always see him, which is like as a toxic, exploitative, shithead, bad person. So do you want to just tell the story, or can I? For those who don't know. It was on the front
I
page of
already
the New
want
York
to throw
Times.
some cool water on you. Yeah, people know, but just he's a billionaire that owns some houses in Florida, or probably a compound in Florida, and then he went and got a happy ending massage a couple times
So here's
at
the
a
deal.
strip mall.
I mean, he is a billionaire. He did get a hand job, apparently, from a sex worker.
Do we know that that's what it was? A hand job?
I haven't heard any suggestion that it was anything else. But look, I think it's really important when we talk about Bob Kraft being arrested for soliciting prostitution that we make sure that we are we have good politics when it comes to sex work, because a lot of people don't, right? There's nothing wrong with being a sex worker. There's nothing wrong with going to sex workers, but there is something wrong with what Bob Kraft did, right? Because if you want to use a sex worker, it is your responsibility to make sure that sex worker is doing the thing that you're paying them to do without pretenses, right? Without being sex trafficked, I guess, like if we want to put a fine point on it. And it's clear that Bob Kraft failed to do that. So
what is that? I have to ask, just out of curiosity, what does that look like? How would Bob Kraft have done this better? What are you supposed to do?
I mean, I don't. It's hard for me to answer this from firsthand experience because I don't have any. But according to some, I do understand that, like, the context of this, which is that women who want to do sex work are being criminalized in this country.
Yes.
They are being subjected to the mass incarceration. And it's not just that cops are cracking down. It's that the federal government is literally shutting down internet sites on which sex workers can use like a safe Craigslist or something.
Right.
And this is forcing sex workers into really bad situations, right? It's forcing them into situations where they have to like go get a pimp, whereas before they could just work for themselves and use the internet. And that's, as leftists, right? We don't want anyone, especially patriarchal, abusive males, stealing the labor of female workers, right? We're opposed to that as leftists, right, brother?
Sure.
And also, what the criminalization of sex workers does is incentivizes sex traffickers and these massage parlors. So what Bob Kraft is doing, and he is an interesting case because he's a fucking billionaire and he could hire a fixer to like make this easy, right? But instead he went to a strip mall where the women were not working consensually. We're not in a sort of situation that we as feminist leftist, that a feminist leftist analysis would say was an okay thing, right? If Bob Kraft was paying a fair price for a consensual act, this would not be any of our business.
So, but what's interesting is that because sex work is not only like extremely stigmatized and taboo, but it's aggressively criminalized. It forces, like, there isn't really that many options out there for someone to explore hiring a sex worker or like you purchasing their services, and that. So, which all of this kind of these issues lead me. I think Bob Kraft is a bad man, but not for this. I think for this, it's a consequence of our general of our general societal posturing and attitudes towards sex working and sex trafficking. So, but I do think that this is an incredible opportunity for our country because what we have here is a billionaire who's on the hook, kind of. And if I'm the prosecutor, what I think as citizens we should be demanding is, and I was sort of saying this to you before, I think we need to put aggressive pressure on Kraft, saying, look, you're looking at jail time. We're gonna put you away. We're gonna throw the book at you. We're not gonna be lenient at all unless you make a deal with us. And here's the non-negotiable terms of the deal. Number one, like, you're not a bad man for wanting to do this, but you live in a bad society that left you feeling like you didn't have a lot of options. So what we're gonna do is, number one, you're gonna create an endowment, a lobbying group to lobby the U.S. government to decriminalize, to legalize sex working. Okay, that's number one. You're gonna use you're gonna throw hundreds of millions of dollars at this. Number two is you're gonna endow an organization that will be like a resource for victims of sex trafficking, the people that you took advantage of unwittingly, or who knows, but nonetheless took advantage of. And this endowment is going to create resources for them to either seek legitimate employment or get money to go back home.
Sex work is legitimate employment. First of all,
right, but I'm talking about victims of sex trafficking who are non-consensually.
They should be paid reparations, repatriated with their families, all sorts of great stuff. I love it.
If they want to keep doing sex work, they can. But if they don't, that's their choice to make, and there will be a resource for them to find other employment funded by the Kraft. And one last thing is, we've highlighted Robert Kraft's tendency again and again in our podcast to offer free trips to Israel for any of the NFL players. And in so doing, he kind of raises the profile. He kind of endears Israel to these NFL players, thereby like counting on them as future allies to sort of come to the defense. I think he
normalizes the apartheid regime. But look, Sam, right. I have a few problems with the things you said, and we need to get you to stop saying insane, wrong things. Number one, prosecutors
in this... the last thing I was going to say? I'll come back to it. Go ahead.
The prosecutors in this country
that we have to use the criminal justice system to like leverage this, but I don't
right. And just understand that the prosecutors don't want to decriminalize or legalize sex work because they like putting people in jail. Number two, I think it's important to, like, if you look at the names of the other people who are arrested, they're almost all men of color, right?
Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. Robert Kraft seems to be the only rich person on the list. It's mostly poor men of color who are like going to this strip mall massage
I don't
parlor.
know how you can tell that by looking at their names, but one thing that he's not the oldest person who's got indicted or got charged. There's a lot of old people.
Yeah,
but anyway,
there's a lot of retirees there, and working class like Hispanic and Black people.
Yeah,
there's mugshots. So look at them.
Oh, there are. Do they have a mugshot of Robert Kraft?
No, he wasn't booked yet.
Oh, he's expected to turn himself in any day now. So what are you trying to say? That how else are we going to... I mean, ideally, fine. This wouldn't have to go through the prosecutor's office. Robert Kraft would just volunteer to do this because he would realize the error of his ways and as a way to absolve himself in the public for, like, because basically, again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to buy sex, right? Is that right?
There's nothing wrong.
So it's just there's wrong ways to do it. And unfortunately, because of our society and the legal system, those wrong ways to do it are much more kind of available, and to do it the right way is a lot harder.
What I'm saying, why I bring up the other people arrested is because we don't want to talk about Bob Kraft as though, right, like the answer is to criminalize the Johns. I mean, it's better, it's a more reasonable society. I think it's a less misogynistic one that criminalizes the men instead of the women, but I'm not trying to criminalize anyone, right? As an abolitionist, we don't want to see, especially the working class, like Latinx people who are swooped up in this sting operation. I feel really bad for them, and I don't want them to go to jail either.
No one should have to go to jail for this.
But
Bob Kraft
the
should
sex
have to
traffickers
pay-
maybe should.
The sex traffickers.
There's a structural problem here, right? The anti-woman, patriarchal, and I also just think that like we should say that a lot of queer men and trans folks are also sex workers. So this is not just a like cis woman issue, of course, but like the laws are set up to further marginalize people in this country, right? Non-white men. And it's Bob Kraft getting caught up in this. Like now that I think that we've done a pretty good job of getting all the issues on the table. And now we should move towards talking about how we can leverage this into taking the team away from the Krafts and giving it to the people of New England, specifically the femmes, queers, and trans folks in New England. I think we should just take the team away from them and give it to everybody, like a la the Green Bay Packers, but not let any men have any stock in the team. What do you think of that?
It's outlandish.
It's outlandish, but it's not like the smarter sectors of New England society would be like, we should no longer employ Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Right?
Clearly, they should be given lifetime appointments.
They should just be given lifetime appointments, and everybody knows that. That's like abundantly clear. So every other change that the non-cis men of New England make to the Patriots would be good. They could change the name. That would be awesome. They could change the colors. That would be cool. They could.
Here's what we're losing out on, though. Can I tell you what we're losing out on if we lose Robert Kraft as the owner at this point?
We don't lose anything besides someone who's stealing. What do we lose?
We lose the opportunity for Robert Kraft to start paying for trips for prominent NFL players to go basically like trace the path of a victim of sex trafficking from maybe their and so that they can thereby experience what that's like, raise awareness and legitimize the struggle against sex trafficking, which is, again, sex trafficking is something that takes place in the dark, in the shadows, and we need to bring it to light. And that's the one positive that could come from this is how badly do you want to see Malcolm Brown or Dante Hightower just like following, seeing a day in the life of a victim of sex trafficking and then speaking out against those issues.
If Dante Hightower started tackling the criminalization of sex work the way he tackles players for the LA Rams, we would be in a better society. Yeah, we'd be a better society. But look,
or just the sex traffickers themselves. Yeah,
Sam, you're really. I feel like we're not on the same exact page about what incentivizes sex trafficking. Like drug traffickers, people who like bring in marijuana or heroin, would have a lot less incentive to do that, right? If the things were legal, if marijuana and heroin were just available at your corner store, right? There'd be no reason to traffic it.
Wait, you think we're not on the same page about this? You think that you need to explain to me that
so all we have to do is take the team away from him, give it to a bunch of folks who will take the profits of that team and invest them in repealing SESTA and FOSTA and legalize sex work.
I mean, can't Kraft just come out and say,
no, this Zionist...
what I did was wrong, and I understand why that was wrong now, even though I didn't at the time, but trying to hire a sex worker is not wrong. And so we need, as a society, to take a look at our taboos and our laws, and I'm going to dedicate $1 billion or whatever. Like, I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life, in addition to winning more Super Bowls, to like taking this issue on head on and lobbying the government. And I mean, I want the Patriots organization to become the face of the fight to legalize sex work.
I think that's a good idea. And I think Bob Kraft's relationship with Meek Mill and his like flirting with people who are against incarceration is makes me think that like your idea is plausible. However, he is a terrible like colonizing, funding Zionist pig. And if this is an opportunity to get rid of him, then we should just get rid of him. You know what I mean? I feel the same. You and I talk about this all the time, that like Russia isn't what is like a very convenient thing for the Democrats to sort of like lean into rather than like the actual problems with the party, which is that they are a corporatist, warmongering piece of shit, right? Like everyone just wants to talk about Russia as the reason Hillary Clinton lost instead of the fact that like Hillary Clinton's policies are incoherent to working people and that she would be doing the exact same thing that the Trump administration is doing in Venezuela, right? No one wants to talk about that. They just want to talk about Russia. And I'm sort of like, if this Russia thing can actually bring down Trump. And then we'll work on Mike Pence. Just whatever. Like, fine. Get him out of the office as soon as possible by any means necessary. But I also know that there's a real sort of fundamental, and I would say rotten to its very core, problem with the Democrats.
Agreed.
So I think Bob Kraft
like support
is rotten.
the Miller investigation, but also go give $27 to Bernie Sanders and make him the front runner and force everyone to tack left, like way left.
Whatever. Bob Kraft, like the Democrats, is rotten to his core. But Bob Kraft is a Trump in this situation, right? So, like, if we can use this to get rid of Trump, if we can use this to get rid of Bob Kraft, we should just do it. Fuck it. It's better.
Yeah, I don't know what you gain though. You didn't.
You take
improve
away
the situation.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing you gain.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
but Bob Kraft uses his millions and millions of dollars of New England Patriots profits to fund the colonization of Palestine. So if you like kill that cash cow, he has less money to do that, and that means like an improvement in the material conditions of Palestinian lives. We should just do that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great outcome.
I mean, that's a fair point, brother. But I do think that if you just get rid of Kraft, then the situation with sex workers and sex trafficking remains untouched. Yeah. Because he's no longer a public example to sort of like, so it's.
Yeah, but Sam, it's, okay. Even so Bob Kraft could divert his massive resources to changing the conversation about the criminalization of women, trans folks, and queers who do sex work. Totally. And I also think that like if Bob Kraft was left a pauper, penniless, if Bob Kraft was left penniless, the occupation of Palestine would continue the day after. Mm-hmm. So, get rid of him. I say get rid of him. It would be gratifying.
So let's. I feel like we did a good job of talking about the politics and centering the conversation less on Kraft himself and more on the sex work and sex trafficking. And can we just? I do want to just talk a little bit about how weird the story is. It's just so weird. Because his initial it's weird that the billionaire went to the strip mall to get a happy ending massage. Like, that's just like really hard for me to understand. And then it's really weird that he denied it. Right? His initial response was like,
I didn't do anything illegal.
I didn't do anything illegal. It's not true. And that leaves me, that's like, how is there an ambiguity about this?
Yeah, look, it's a weird story.
Are we sure that it's a massage parlor? Like, because part of me was like, oh, this is not just like a happy ending massage parlor. This is a brothel disguised like as a that has a facade in the front of massage parlor, but what actually goes on inside is that it's a full-on brothel, and that there's no ambiguity about the people going in there, because presumably a happy ending, like a massage parlor is a massage parlor. Some people get happy, like even if there are happy endings available, not everyone gets them. And how do you prove who did or who didn't? How do you even prove that he was there in
What's
the first
the
place?
difference
Did he pay
between those two
credit card?
things?
Well,
look, everyone who went in.
It is a difference. It's not sex work if you're just getting a massage without a happy ending.
Right. But
that's the difference.
This wasn't a legitimate massage parlor at all. This was, I think it's closer to the brothel thing, but are you asking me if I think Bob Kraft, like, in addition to getting his rocks off, also got a massage? Because that seems like I don't care.
Is it is it possible that he only got a massage? I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, his lawyers will certainly argue that.
Yeah. Well, that's all. I just wanted to say that's so weird. I mean,
but isn't it weird that like Pee Wee Herman was arrested for jerking off in a porn theater when he definitely had enough money to like do this in his own house?
I guess so, but porn theaters are their own like kind of thing that is extremely appealing and alluring for a whole number of different reasons. It's about exhibitionism. You can't be an exhibitionist in your own home.
I think that's right. This sounds more just like I imagine like most billionaires, especially ones in the public eye, Bob Kraft spends a lot of money on security. He has like a lot of like dudes who are like his like with like earpieces who like plan his travel and make sure he's safe. And I bet they just set this up for him because that's where they go when they're in the Palm Beach areas.
Wild. Listen, let's shift gears and talk about the Celtics a little bit before I have to go. Is that all right?
I mean, like, what is there to say about this underachieving, mediocre team? Do you think we should fire Brad Stevens?
Absolutely not at this juncture. But wait, something occurred to me that I want to go back. Are we gonna lose a draft pick?
Wait, you think that we should just like actually talk about sports?
Yeah, I feel like we covered this.
We were doing such a good job of like having a nuanced and interesting conversation about this news, and now you want to bring it back to the Patriots' bottom line, win and loss total.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of not a sports issue.
Yes, you do.
But it is. I want to talk about the sports implications of this. We danced around this a little bit, like what this could mean for the team, but about the image.
Let
of
me
the
just
team.
say this:
are we going to lose a draft pick for this? Are we going to lose a first round pick?
The Colts didn't lose a draft pick when their owner
Jim
bought
Irsay.
a bunch of illegal drugs and did those drugs with his mistress, who proceeded to overdose and die in like his bed from those drugs.
What? No, what are you talking about? Jim Irsay was fined for driving drunk and he had drugs in the car. What are you talking about? Overdosing.
I'm talking about a different story where his mistress overdosed and died from the drugs that he provided her.
Are you sure that happened? I don't know what you're talking about, and that is so extreme. He's still the owner of the Colts, right?
Yeah. So once again, the racist, misogynistic NFL that doesn't mind it where Kareem Hunt kicks a woman and gets to have his job, and like Jim Irsay doesn't have to sell the team when a woman who's not his wife overdoses on his illegal drugs in a hotel, like a hotel room he bought.
God, I want to Google that. But so I know that the Colts didn't get a draft pick docked from them, but the Patriots have lost first round picks for less than this offense. Well, the Patriots have lost the first round pick for fucking the Ideal Gas Law, and for videotaping signals in front of 50,000 people. The both of those infractions seem kind of like smaller deal than this. We're gonna lose another draft pick for this, for probably a first round pick.
Sam, if we lose a draft pick, it'll be the last pick in the first round. And also, we have more picks in the top 100 than anyone else in football. So,
yeah, but our first round, the history of our drafts, like we Patriots will hit on, between 45 and 50% of their draft picks from the rounds 2 to 7, but their percentage of success in the first round is closer to 85, 90. We always get great talent in the first round, and I'd be so upset if we lose a first round pick. If we lose a third round pick, that's
Sam,
fine.
stop.
We'll chalk that up to,
Sam,
raising
stop.
the awareness of the cause. All right, let's go back to the Celtics. Brad Stevens
Bill
being
Belichick,
fired. What? Bill Belichick what?
Bill Belichick, unlike Brad Stevens, Bill Belichick is such a capable coach that it doesn't like no matter how many assets you take away from him. It's not like, do you think we wouldn't make the Super Bowl if we didn't have a first round pick this year?
Oh, of course. I don't think there's going to be another Super Bowl because I think the Celtics are going to turn this around. We're going to win the championship, and then the Bruins are fucking going to catch fire, win the Stanley Cup. Boom.
The Bruins have already caught fire. Do you know what their record is in their last 10 games?
What, 8-2, 9-1?
8-0-2.
Yeah.
8-0-2. They have the second best record in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah. So
they're fucking playing great. They're making the Bruins are gelling at the right time, and Pasta's coming back. They went on this 8-game streak without their best player.
Yeah. I know. And who do we just pick up in that trade?
A fucking a legit scoring center from the Coyotes.
And he's good. He's versatile. Give me the center in the third line, or give me a wing on the second.
A right winger. Yeah.
The Bruins, the Bruins are going to win the Stanley Cup. The Celtics are going to win the championship, and there's not going to be another football season because the overthrow of the global capitalist system will finally be achieved, and we're going to take a couple of years off from sports as a society, in our new society, as we're deciding what it's going to be. We're going to just kind of rethink things, is what I truly believe. But in order for that to happen, Brad Stevens does not need to be fired, but what he needs to
stop playing Terry Rozier and Marcus Morris.
Terry Rozier should not get another minute this season. I'm fucking done. No more minutes for Terry Rozier. Sorry, 0 minutes for Terry Rozier. And unless, I guess, if they're going to sit, the only circumstances Terry Rozier should play is if he's going to start because Kyrie's taking the night off. But he can't. He's ruining the fucking bench. He's costing us games, a lot of games that we can't really afford to be losing. Like, at this point, I'm just like, okay, we're going to be the 5 seed, and we're going to have to beat Philly
on the road
in the first round of the playoffs, and we can do that. We'll do that fine. It's like Kyrie said after this fucking insane Bulls loss, which I fucking can't believe, but Kyrie's just like, I love that his new tone. He's not just like, we need to, he's just like, look, it is what it is. I'm moving on. We're going to be fine. Why? Because you got me. Did you see his post conference?
Kyrie Irving needs to not,
There are people in post-game press conference.
Yeah, look, no one's gonna flinch at any of your verbal fuck ups anymore. You started off this podcast so strong that people are gonna just give you the benefit of the doubt from here on out. So you don't
Thank
even
you,
have
everyone.
to worry about
I
it.
appreciate that.
Samson,
yes,
the Celtics are probably gonna be fine. It's just I will flag for everyone that Sam and I were talking about the Red Sox bullpen as a fatal flaw, and we were so mad. We were already talking about how we were going to give Joe Kelly and some other members of the Red Sox World Series rings for the team that ends up winning because they will have cost us the World Series.
Yeah.
And then they fucking locked it down and we won.
Yes.
And we were talking about the Patriots offense after Josh Gordon, it couldn't possibly win.
Yeah.
And what happened?
And also the Patriots' slow linebackers and how we didn't trust them to cover running backs in the playoffs. And
yeah, you had our Twitter thing as a complaint about the Patriots' slow linebackers.
And
that was foolish.
And now it's like the Boston chemistry issues, or maybe I don't know, maybe it's about the bench, but the Celtics bench. Look, Marcus Morris needs to go back to the bench. And
Gordon Hayward needs to start starting. No more Marcus Morris.
No, not Gordon Hayward.
What?
Because we need a ball handler for the second unit, and it can't be Terry Rozier.
Can it be Marcus Smart?
It could theoretically be Marcus Smart. So then you would need to go back to the. But it's not, the offense isn't the best when Marcus Smart is. It does, like, you can't flow through him entirely. It's better. I think, if Gordon Hayward's a better playmaker than Marcus Smart, an offensive playmaker. Marcus Smart is the best, kind of like je ne sais quoi playmaker in the NBA or defense. I don't know how you'd say exactly what his skill set is, but it's certainly elite and hard to place. I want Marcus Smart. I like him in the starting lineup. Here's what I propose: Kyrie, Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Horford. That's our starting five. And then our second unit is Brad Wanamaker, Gordon Hayward, Marcus Morris, Tice, and Robert Williams until Baines comes back.
I think we should consider starting Baines when he comes back and putting Horford as the centerpiece of the second unit's offense.
No, because we've seen when this team is elite, it's because Horford is doing the Horford things. We can't afford to bring him off the bench.
But the offense can flow, like you were saying. The offense can flow through. Can't really throw through Marcus Smart, but it can flow through Al Horford.
Horford alone. The thing is, Rozier,
Horford, Hayward.
Horford's really good with like a point guard to play a 2-man game with. So I actually do think, Rozier just needs to be benched. Maybe not for the rest of the season, but he needs absolutely unequivocally to be benched for a week at least. He needs to he needs to be punished so he understands that his behavior is wrong.
Listen to your carceral mentality.
I'm sorry,
that you still have to unlearn.
I've run out of patience with Brad Stevens' policy of working, let's work this out in the regular season because we're going to need these guys in the postseason. You know what we're also going to need in the postseason? A fucking home field advantage in the first round, and we're not going to get that he was made the right call by saying I'm going to keep giving Hayward his minutes early on, even though he's struggling, because it's going to help in the long run. That was smart, even though he took a lot of heat for that. A lot of people just said this guy sucks, and Jaylen Brown likewise. He's but Jaylen Brown has turned things around. He's still playing 20 minutes a game. It's fucking crazy.
He's making a lot of basketball mistakes, Sam. JB? Our boy Jaylen, who is so smart and so
he still hasn't quite figured it out.
Such a creative and intellectual mind, seems lost on the court.
But
Jaylen Brown is not an idiot, right? He can the game's complicated, but he has really complicated ideas and a complicated brain. I think.
He's still making mistakes, but here's what I'll say about Jaylen Brown. Early in the season, he was taking a lot of ill-advised long 2-pointers, and it was a problem during our 10-10 start, and Tatum also. And so at some point, Brad Stevens said, "Listen, we're not doing that anymore. Go to the hoop. Jaylen Brown, you can get to the hoop whenever you want. Go to the hoop." And even though he's continued to struggle here off and on, and he's still is having defensive lapses, at least he doesn't fucking take horrible, ill-advised, long 2-point shots early in the shot clock. Jaylen Brown goes to the hoop now. He can't shoot free throws still, which is fucking insane. He should be able to. Jaylen Brown, I'm a little frustrated with his development. He should be better than he is right now. I'm not frustrated with Jason Tatum. I love Kyrie Irving. Al Horford's amazing. Marcus Morris is.
Do you love Kyrie Irving's fucking interviews? Because I fucking hate them.
I don't.
This dude is he's not saying the things that I, as a fan, need to hear.
No, it's true.
I do like the fuck you media part, but I also just think he is sort of saying fuck you to the younger guys on the team too much.
I think there's an unfortunate thing with Kyrie where he's, 25 or maybe he's 26, and he's just has this posture as if he's
an old
person, and it's just to me, who's only 4 years older than him, it's just transparently I'm just oh, this is a little bit unfortunate where someone is just the like junior in high school tries to tell the freshman in high school or like you're all like young and haven't figured things out yet. So
That's how I kind of felt like when we were hanging out last night with that famous young woman. What was her name?
don't are you gonna
I mean, had you ever heard of that person before?
No.
You hadn't. I hadn't either. None of my friends have. I've like texted them. Like
still
she has hundreds of thousands of Instagram followers, but none of them are people I know. Anyway, listen to me.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and edit out the name, but yeah, go ahead.
She was 20.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And like Jason Tatum is 20.
True.
And like if you listen to her talk about the business, she like had a lot of interesting and creative ideas, but she also just said like a bunch of things that like from my older perspective is like not how, like the way she was like talking about like school, like school and the like university structure was like, it sounded like a 20-year-old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot, like these like insanely talented young people are still young.
Yes, Kyrie Irving is a genius and like a creative force that is like truly.
But he was really
remarkable.
out here saying the world was flat for years.
No, come on.
Whatever. I'm just saying he let that be a thing about him that people thought that like.
Did you see this? He gave him like there was an interview pretty recently after the All-Star break where like the guy there was some like film during the All-Star break where he was talking to Kevin Durant, and they're really good friends, and they were kind of like flirting with each other and being really sweet the entire All-Star weekend. It was kind of really fun to see, and so it became this story because people were really wondering about their both impending.
They're like
free
reading
agents.
his lips, and they're like
Right.
saying like two max deals.
They're reading his lips, and so then the reporter in Boston was like, "Do you want to like throw some water on this story? Is there something you'd like to say to kind of clear this up?" And he was just like, "It's like what? Do I want to throw some water on what story? I was talking to my friend. People were filming me talking to my friend. No, I don't owe you any." Like, I think his attitude and approach is perfectly reasonable. I think
Yes, he should name names and go after Dan Shaughnessy and go after like specific like clickbait.
his attitude
assholes.
towards the
Like,
media totally makes sense to me. And it
It's
makes
awesome. It's awesome.
Yes, and he's
His
like,
attitude towards the media is great.
and he's like,
But
he accepts
his
them, like,
attitude towards his own players isn't as
it could be
good, I
improved.
think.
Yeah, no, I mean, who? Right. It seems like they fucking
Like
all
Kevin
kind of.
Kevin Garnett would never do what like say the things that he was
Kevin
saying.
Garnett made Big Baby Davis cry on national
But he
television.
never like threw him.
He was crying on the bench. Everyone could see it.
Big Baby Davis was a big baby. He's frustrated. Kevin Garnett would bought all the young players on the 2008 Celtics suits so that whenever they went someplace together, they would all look good together.
Yeah,
He,
LeBron
like,
James
had
did
his
that
tail-
too on the Cavs last year. You think he's like a model teammate? Marcus Morris got
I think
cheesecake
LeBron-
for everyone after they beat the Phillies, after they beat the 76ers. Listen, Kyrie said some unfortunate things about his teammates. I still kind of, it's like clearly not aimed at Jason Tatum, who's the fucking second best offensive player on the team. So it's like, it's also.
I think it's aimed at Terry Rozier and it's aimed at
at Jalen
Marcus
Brown,
Morris and
which is
Jalen Brown.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, but I'm like, I like Jalen Brown more than almost everyone else on the team, even though he still hasn't put together his game yet. But just like from a personal level, it feels like these guys are like mad at Jalen Brown for being so smart and cool. Or I don't know, whatever.
Like,
want
how
Kyrie-
did you get to be friends with Colin Kaepernick,
Right.
Jalen?
Yeah, exactly. I want
Like,
Kyrie to
You're
to keep dominating games, and now I want him to say shit to the media that's just like, go fuck yourself. I don't owe you anything. Stop bothering me. And the Celtics are going to be fine because I'm on the team, which is true. We're going to be fine because he's on the team. We're probably going to, the way that this Celtics season goes is we're probably going to beat the Raptors on Tuesday, is my guess. I can't believe
you're
that he played 40 minutes and scored 35 points and we lost to the Bulls, a team that we beat by like 60 points earlier this year. It's been such a frustrating season, but so was the Patriots season.
Yeah, we were 11-5.
You remember that fucking Dolphins game? we're just like, this is so frustrating. Like, go back and look at the Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz archives, and you'll find us throughout the early of Patriots season being like, we're probably going to be fine, but does this feel worse than usual? And both of us being like, yeah, there is something about this that's more frustrating than usual. But like, we're about to get Josh Gordon, and then everything will be fine. And then we lose Josh Gordon. There's just it doesn't really matter what happens in the regular season. The Warriors had to hit their, like, Kyrie was on the Cavs team that won the championship against the greatest regular season team in history, I think. Right? That Warriors squad.
Yeah, he hit the winning shot.
So it's like Kyrie knows it. But that being said, it's just gonna suck to be the 5 seed. It would be way better if we were the second or third seed, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, because we have a fighter's chance against every team in the East, and we're just gonna have to figure out how to, I guess, win on the road. But I want Terry Rozier punished for his bad shot selection and his refusal to play team basketball. I want Marcus Morris moved to the second unit in favor of Jaylen Brown, who's been playing better. I want to see Jaylen Brown's confidence get better and continue to cultivate his development. Because probably we're losing Tatum in the offseason to a trade to Anthony Davis, even though I don't want that to happen, but it's probably going to happen. But we're still going to have Jaylen Brown. So, we clearly lost all value for Terry Rozier.
Not trading Terry Rozier after last playoffs seems like an unforgivable mistake.
Huge mistake.
I guess they're keeping him around as a
Kyrie
insurance
policy. Wow, what a bad insurance policy. It's just like, if Kyrie walks, do you want us to re-sign Terry?
No.
I don't know. Terry Rozier is actually good when he starts games and there is no Kyrie Irving, but he just cannot fucking handle. And he's not half as good as Kyrie Irving, so he upsets me to think about. I want Aaron Baines to come back right away. The team is so much better with Aaron Baines. It's not even close.
We're like 15-2 with him and like a 500 team without him.
I know, but where's Robert Williams? He was so fun. Like, can you just give us some joy in this season and play Time Lord a little bit? I don't know.
I'm not responding to that. I'm pissed.
Anything else?
All right, good job, Sam. No.
You just want to end the podcast like that?
Yeah.
Really? Are you okay?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
What?
Listen, can I tell you one thing that I think might be part of the problem?
Sure.
Last year I had this Celtics lighter that I kept with me. Like, I brought from Boston, like drove it down to New Orleans and kept it. And like I brought it. I didn't lose it even when it like ran out of gas. I still had it, and it we like took us all the way to the Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And then like shortly thereafter, after we lost that game, I was like, I'm gonna hold on to this lucky lighter, and I hung on to it, and I took the it's like one of those big plastic lighters. I took the Celtics part off and then put it on another lighter that did have gas in it. And it's just been so frustrating that like maybe that was a problem. So I was like, with your permission, I would like to throw away this Celtics lighter and just decide it's not good luck and in fact maybe bad luck.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
I'm like a superstitious bargaining.
Well, I grant you permission, but don't you think it's about time to make a Celtics 48 Palestine jersey?
That's not a bad idea.
Because the last 2 times you've done that have resulted in playoff runs ending in championships.
The Bruins and the Patriots both. Yeah, it's
You don't have a Red Sox one too? You do have a Red Sox one, right?
I don't have a Red Sox one, but they did win after I made Boycott Israel in 2013. The hat.
Oh, right, the Boycott Israel, using the B from the Boston to spell Boycott Israel. Those are cool hats. Whatever happened to those?
I lost access to the place of the sewing machine.
Oh, it sucks. Hey, speaking of which, let's give you a shout out, Max. You're making some really amazing T-shirts, and you started a new Instagram store to sell them, right? Zionists hate me. You don't want to do that?
Yeah.
Are you mad at me for doing this?
Yes. But if you want to follow my Instagram account or buy a provocative T-shirt, Zionists hate me. If you know how to get in touch with me, you can get a T-shirt.
But if you don't know how to get in touch with him, because again, we have so many new listeners thanks to our friend.
Do you think that's true?
I don't know. I haven't checked. Our friend Ike Streets Kandaraja, who's working for the Daily Podcast, the New York Times Daily Podcast, and is a big fan of our show, was kind enough to give us a big shout out in the newsletter. So we welcome all the New York Times subscribers who are just been joining us, and we just want to say welcome. My name's Sam. That's my brother Max. Go check out his store. Max, are you gonna make some Phone Wallet Keys David Ortiz merch too?
You want me to make a T-shirt about our podcast?
Yes. So I want you to make Phone Wallet Keys David Ortiz merch in addition to your Renoir Sucks at Painting merch and all of your anti-Zionist merch. And then I want you to...
Anti-Zionist merch. Okay.
Sorry, that's music tour lingo. I'm dealing with a lot of merch over here. Anyway, I think this podcast has run its natural course.
I thought that was a good episode.
We'll leave that for the audience to decide. Let us know on Twitter, Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz. We got our Instagram back, so you can follow that too.
Thank God.
Thank God. Well, we should get back to using it. Phone Wallet Keys, David Ortiz. And send us an email. Also, we have Boston Bros 617 at gmail.com is our collective email address if you want to get in touch. And keep texting us and letting us know what you think. It feels really good to hear from you guys. And Max, it's good to see you. Come see me in America if you live in America and you want to come see a music concert. I'll be on tour the next month and a half. Anything else, Max?
No. Good job, brother.
So give me a kiss, baby, I'm an anarchist.
Good job. I love you so much. Great to see you last
That
night.
was fun last night. Yeah, it was really cool.
All right, we'll talk soon. Okay, let's do another podcast. Let's not deprive our listeners of a podcast next week. Let's do it again.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye.